I'm thrilled to be spending some quality time with the gentleman who had the vision for eWater. He is the person that all of you know who's been your inspiration and somebody who has served countless people's lives, helped them to feel healthier and happier, and it is a thrill to spend some quality time with Mr. Fred Van Liew.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this is a fun time for us to have this interview finally, and it's hard to lock you down because you're so busy running around talking to your clients, talking to your customers, serving people, making sure things run right. I mean, thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to me.
Oh, I've actually very much looked forward to this. I appreciate you.
I think what's great about it is that for the people that are watching this that haven't had a chance to get to know you yet, or they've seen you on stage, or they've seen you on television, or somewhere in the media, or on the internet, that now this is their opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. Not only as the founder and creator of eWater, but just as a person, as a man, and just kind of finding out, which is what I'd like to start with, is what inspired you to go into this industry?
To call it inspiration is maybe misstating it. It was actually a catastrophe that has a very good ending. I'd been dealing with a number of areas in natural health care, but water had been, like so many people back then and even now, where they think water's water. And what's coming out of the tap, no different than a bottled water, that's ridiculous. But at the time, what did we know? But I had done my research. I had gotten the largest carbon block made a little over a quarter of a century ago. And after doing my research, I purchased that, and that's what we were drinking our water out of. And that was okay. Up in Massachusetts at the time, the surface water was not fluoridated and very low in dissolved solids. Well, we came to Texas and ended up in Grand Prairie, just over the border from Arlington, and my third child was conceived and born as we were drinking water going through this huge carbon block. And what I didn't know is that the carbon block was not taking out. They told you, hundreds of chemicals that it was taking out.
Right.
Even stated it took out fluorine, which is a gas. Of course, it's never in water.
I've never even heard of fluorine.
Well, fluorine isn't ever in water, but it made you think it took out fluoride. Well, it doesn't. And so it wasn't taking out the fluoride, sulfates, nitrates, arsenic, aluminum, dead dirt, minerals, salts, phosphates, detergents, or medical wastes. But I didn't know that. So this created havoc for this unborn child during conception. And then at birth, my third child had all kinds of challenges, so much so that literally every morning we didn't know whether he was going to wake up.
Really?
Had a tremendous difficulty eating and didn't speak for a long time. I mean, nothing. But when he did start speaking, he spoke in complete sentences. When he was able to eat, which was after I got this about 55 court cases from around the country on fluoride, where all of Dougie's symptoms showed in what they described as fluoride toxicity and poisoning. And in every case, the judges, who were either neutral or pro-fluoride, before stated this should never be added to water, but it's out of our jurisdiction. This is in the health department, and all this was by design. And I was furious because I did my research, I did my homework.
Right.
And
I mean, and you, as opposed to many people, had a system for filtration, and you're still...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. And you thought that was taken care of.
I had made my choice based on the available information.
Right.
And as has happened before and since, is I got very mad, and I said, I'm going to find out what the truth is. Not what people say, but what is the truth. And I found out there was many books and literature and lectures that said, the minerals were good, and then the others say the minerals are bad, and then they say the fluoride is great, the fluoride is terrible, and then et cetera, et cetera. And I had to sift through it, see who had a vested interest and who just was looking for the truth, where the science was valid and where was it self-serving. I mean, if you only sell a carbon filter, then everything that you can't remove is good for you, right? Because it has to be. If you only sell a water softener, well, what does a water softener do? Everything, because it's all you sell. So I started studying, and I finally had to get to not the plumbing of the house, but what does the plumbing of the body need to function properly? Mm-hmm. And this was a totally different approach than where most people had taken. Now, mind you, this was just on the purifying of the water. It hadn't even gotten into structure yet, or the energies and the harmonics and where we've gone now, which is so critical now that we've polluted our environment, not just with chemical pollution, but electronic pollution. And this has destroyed the water, the structure of the water. Most water, when you drink it, even after it's purified, literally sucks the energy out of you. And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I don't think the average person, including me, has any idea what that even means. So,
at least you're honest.
No, I'm honest. I mean,
oh, that's good.
When I first heard about your company and what you do, I'm like, it was all very like, what and does what and why, and I didn't understand when I watched you work on people, I had no idea what could that possibly be doing to help them. And I've had the incredible opportunity, as I've been, of course, done some research on your company and have learned about the people that you've helped. But during this process of interviewing a lot of your clients and your customers and your students, your colleagues, your staff, I mean, the stories that I've heard, I mean, they're just overwhelming. And I think the neatest thing,
cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And here's the thing, and that smile on your face is so great, because it's really your passion, obviously, right in the core of your entire being, which is what I appreciate so much, to serve and to help people. You've taken a tragic situation that happened in your life, and you've found some answers that can prevent people from going through what you went through with your family. And I need to ask before we move on, because I know every single person is wondering, how is your son now? Because they're going to want to know that.
See, part of the solution is to know what the problem is, and we didn't know. No one could give us any answers. When I found out it's the fluoride and as a trigger, and then some of the other heavy metals, then we knew kind of what to do. And so very quickly we started getting him turned around. And then when he finally could eat something, I mean, he couldn't even tolerate mother's milk for a while. But then when he could eat, I mean, it was so much fun to watch him eat.
Right.
But honestly, and there's always a price to pay, but God's good. There's a serendipity that came about. And look, he's the only one of my 3 kids became an Eagle Scout. He's, I got choked up. Right. He's just such a cool kid. Anyway.
You're going to make me cry because I have a child of my own.
Well,
but let me
I hope you're as proud of him as I am of Dougie. But he's gone on, and he's just tops in his field, and has top security clearance as a civilian for working on HVAC systems and all in military installations. But it's his character. I'm sure this wasn't where this was supposed to go.
But it is, and the reason why it is I think that it's it truly is. I didn't understand a lot of what you do when I first met you and first watched you. I was at an event that you were working on a bunch of people, but I think that, and this is the same thing everybody says about you, is they feel this genuine caring that you have for people, and a lot of times I think it's true. You see something in them that you know they're suffering from. You have a really strong intuition about that with people, and almost care more about them than they do about their own health. And you get so passionate with people about getting them to a better place in their health that they may not even know they need. And so it is where it's supposed to go, because at the heart of it's your heart and your passion and your emotional commitment to serve people and help people that is why you're so successable. So, that's why this is who you are. This is the authentic part of who you are. And I think it's neat for people to, and I've had a chance to know you in recent months, and it's true, when I sit down and do something like this project we've done to share your message with people, it is really important to me to know that the person that I am doing this for is somebody that I believe has their heart in the right place, their integrity in the right place, because I don't want to be a part of something that's not serving people at the highest level, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, because your son is thriving and doing great.
Married, wonderful.
Blessed, because there's a lot of people who went through things. What's coming to my mind is just the whole Aaron Brockovich story, right? The movie of people who lost their children, or they were, mentally or emotionally or physically damaged and obviously these stories go on and on about water being contaminated, but you've made it your now life's work to take this experience and develop products and systems and education for people to thrive at a higher level, but it's gone so much further than that.
Well, I lost my dad in his 60s and way too young. I mean, the family genetically on his side into the 90s, and it was entirely medication. And with what I know now, totally unnecessary. But, you know, you don't beat yourself up. I didn't know at the time, neither did he. And, you know, it's one thing I try to help the healthcare providers themselves, as well as relatives who sometimes feel guilty. Oh, if I had only known this. But you didn't. You did the best you could do, and never beat yourself up on what you could have done. Just based on what you know now, if you make that available to people with the right intention, always in love, and they choose not to do it, accept it. It's their choice. Your obligation is to make it available. So what I know about water and the various characteristics and how to give the body the best support to get optimal result, what I know about nutrition, the nourishment, air purification, people are welcome to accept it or not. Now, they do well to accept it. I really do know what I'm doing. But you know, you have to give that freedom of choice. And as I say, if I say, you know, if you do that, you know, you're probably going to have some bad consequences. Now, if I do that in love, giving you the freedom to reject or accept, that's fine. But if I do it with self-righteous, you know, then it's the wrong motivation. So I try to remember that. It's hard sometimes because, yeah, you do want it more, especially for relatives, than they often want it for themselves. You got to back off.
And I've watched you at certain times for somebody who doesn't, you know, you have a sense that they're really struggling and that you know, I've seen you know that certain systems or products or whatever that you have, you feel without any doubt that you know that could help them. And if they don't move forward, you know, it's that idea, even like, let's take your whole product system out of it. When you see anybody that you know in your life that's doing something destructive for them, right? And you know there's something, and there's people watching us that, you know, have people suffering from addictions or whatever the case may be, and they know if they would just go to rehab or if they would just whatever, you know, they would get better. It's hard. But I think that's the nice thing is that with you, I don't think it's offensive. I just think one of the reasons why
overwhelming
people,
would be the word, right?
Yeah, but you're so passionate, and I think that's the one thing that I've noticed with people is they feel that even though you're really intense about it, and even though they may not move forward or be ready to take that step, they do feel that there's a genuine desire from your aspect to help them.
Well, there's a word, and I don't even mind using it at this point. There's a word that I've heard over and over for so many years, and it's integrity. And I've often said God honors integrity of heart, even when you're wrong. And it's like intention. And I have worked very hard to maintain that and not compromise. And not compromise integrity or product quality or truth. I always pursue truth. It's never about the money, not when people's health is involved, and that's a fact.